Swipe Up, episode 217 of the show where I share my opinions on current events, whether you like it or not. Piece of good news, I would say. And of course, every piece of good news, there is a portion of the population that considers it to be bad news. But I consider it to be good news. This is a story that I've mentioned before on this show, and we're just getting it's a follow-up to it, I guess you would say. But the story, the ongoing story of Brittney Griner, who was arrested in Russia for quote-unquote drug smuggling. Basically, she had a weed pen vape cartridge, some weed oil in her bag as she was flying to play basketball in Germany, or flying back from Germany after having played basketball, and flying through Russia, and they stopped her and they charged her with smuggling drugs, which of course is a ridiculous charge to have, but not very different from a lot of states that currently treat weed as the most demonic thing possible for somebody to possess or consume. So not that far off Russia is from how they treat and criminalize a plant that has never been responsible for a single human death in the history of humankind using the plant. But yeah, definitely a sad story. Definitely a story where Russia is making an example of her. And she had just started her 9-year sentence, recently had been sentenced and charged and found guilty. And she was going to serve 9 years in a Russian slave labor camp, which are pretty horrible, horrific places to be. And it wasn't looking good for her survival in a lot of ways. I can't imagine her being treated well in any way. But thanks to President Sleepy Joe Biden, made a prisoner swap, which is why there is a portion of the population in America who does not consider this to be good news. But I do, and I'll tell you why. First off, Brittney is free, which is good. She's back in America, free, safe with her wife and her family and her teammates and her friends, and she is not in a slave labor camp. So that is good news. Anybody that doesn't think that is good news is a ridiculous, heartless human. And as far as the prisoner swap, where this Victor Bout guy, people say is like the most dangerous person or whatever. You know, he's labeled as the merchant of death, I believe, by some reporter in the UK. I think people don't realize that the United States of America is the biggest arms dealer in the entire world, by a large amount. I mean, not only do people in this country, the whole, military-industrial complex, the whole business of war, not only are people wealthy and increasing their wealth by people who manufacture weapons of war, but also our country is historically well known for selling guns to other countries, and we do it more than any other country. And to say that like some Russian guy who was an arms dealer is somehow a threat, the only reason we had him is because he was competing with our business. America didn't arrest him and put him in prison to save the lives of people, because we literally profit off of doing exactly what he did. I mean, and if you don't know history, maybe look into who got all the training, the Taliban, who trained the Taliban and armed the Taliban. There are many moments in the history of this country where we have armed and trained people who later came back to be our enemies. and the long-standing business of selling weapons to other countries is something that our country is not only well known for historically, but also by far the biggest purveyor of. So this kind of like this delusional idea that trading him to Russia, and first off, him being caught by the United States and put into prison, like, you think Russia is going to like welcome him with open arms, right? They're not going to believe that he didn't give up whatever secrets he may know, right? If you know anything about Russia or Putin and what Putin does to anybody that he has a beef with. So, you know, as far as Victor Bout, I don't think he is as much of a threat as people are being told he is. I'm sure the right-wing media is, as they do, fear-mongering. You know, they get their little sheep people afraid of something new, right? It's got to be terrified of everything that happens. It is done by anybody that's not a Republican politician. Is the most horrific thing ever to have happened in human history. You know, and I'm sure they've spewed their propaganda about this issue as well. But I'm happy. I'm happy that Brittney is free. I'm not worried about Victor Bout. I mean, if anything, if he goes back to doing the business he was involved in before, he is only competition for the United States and the military arms that we sell. So, you know, for anybody that is a conservative, I assume you guys are about the open free market, and him being free to go back to doing what the United States does only provides competition in the open market of illegal arms trades. So I'm happy Brittney's back. It was good news to see. You know, I have a lot of criticisms about Joe Biden. I have a lot. He is very conservative in a lot of ways, but he has done, I mean, in addition to a lot of half steps that don't seem to be very effective, he has done a lot of other positive things that I do agree with, and this is one of them, and I'm happy it all worked out. And she's safe, because this could have easily been us hearing, I mean, even if the worst happened to her in a slave labor camp, we wouldn't have known. I mean, the amount of propaganda that gets the control of information, it's you know, she could have died and we just never would have heard of her again. But thankfully she's home safe.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.